What's up, everybody? I'm Garin. I'm on a mission to talk to one person from every country in the world, and today we're talking to Marta from Latvia. Marta works in the tourism department, so her job is kind of just bragging about how much she loves her city and her country, which makes her a perfect addition to this website, but she's got a whole lot more than that going on, too. She's involved in all kinds of really interesting projects, so this is a lot of fun getting to talk to her today. I hope you enjoy this conversation with Marta.
Hello.
Hi, Marta.
Hi.
How are you?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right, great. How are you doing today?
Great, thanks. It's already evening for me.
Yeah, the day's already over for you over there, huh?
Yeah.
Was it a busy day?
Kind of, yes. Yes. I'm working on my own project now, so I'm pretty happy.
Okay, what are you working on?
Well, there's actually a bunch of things starting from my own business, which is really in the beginning, so there is not much to tell about that. And then there's the youth development program and oh, yeah.
So, you told me about Go Beyond. Was that it?
Yeah,
Is that your new business, or is that the one that's already going?
that's the development program that I work in.
Okay.
It basically gets young people, like 18 to 23 years old, to expand their capabilities, to go out of their comfort zone. So basically, in the beginning, for 3 months, what they do, they go to different small towns and small regions and try to fix a huge problem. For example, underage drinking or a multifunctional center that is there, but no one is really doing anything in it.
Mm-hmm.
Although people are really active in the city, or employment of disabled people, and so basically different problems, and so they try to look what they can actually do about it.
Neat.
And afterwards, for the next 7 months, what they do is they have their own projects, so they work on the things that really they love and they feel that they could really put value in.
Wow. Is this something that they do, like in parallel to other things? Like, do they go to college and do this, or?
Yeah, yes, they usually have college. Some of them are working, and so this is like an extra thing, which is basically more focused on building what their values are, what they like to do. So they are the guys that will bring changes, and we want them to have the right values, to understand what they really want to do, so that they wouldn't go and work for 40 years in a thing they don't really care about.
Man, that is so cool. I no, I really think that's neat because so I'm 28 and my brother is 18, and I went to college, and then I put the cart before the horse. I was like, well, I'll go to college, and then when I go there, I'll figure out what I like to do, and I'll somewhere along the way I'll figure out what I'm passionate about. And I figured it out, but I didn't really know it at the time. So then when I was done, I was like, well, I don't know what I want to do still. So I went to grad school. Maybe I'll figure out grad school. And I kind of figured it out. And then once I was done with everything, it wasn't until just a couple years ago that I kind of figured out, okay, this is kind of the path that I want to take. And I think for a long time, I had that mentality of kind of like what you said. I need to figure out what I'm going to do for 40 years. Like, what's the title I'm going to have? But I didn't have the mindset of like just dive in and do something valuable, and create something, build something, start a project, do something that's going to make a difference and change people's lives in some small way,
Yeah.
And I'm like, so with my brother, I keep trying to help him flip it around. You'll figure that out before you invest all the money to go to school and spend all that time, But I don't think that we have that focus a lot of times.
Yeah, it's a bit hard as well because the parents are really working on you have to get education and then you can do what you want. And it is hard because I also had the same thing in university. I studied economics, which was very interesting, but it's definitely not the thing that I want to do. And then I went to social anthropology, and it also was not what I wanted to do. It was already in the master's study, so for now I have stopped that because there is no need to invest more money if you have already understood that it's wrong. And it's still very hard because everyone's saying like, why you're quitting? Why are you not finishing what you've started? Yeah, so it is difficult. But yeah, in Latvia now, more and more people are trying to find what they're really passionate about. And I have a lot of friends and people I know that have gone from law to ballet or from politics to fashion and stuff like that. So it's really cool.
That's neat.
It's a great time to live in.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, by the time you have kids that are your age, hopefully Latvia will look totally different, have all kinds of, interesting people with these kind of dual skill sets or something.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So has Go Beyond had a good response so far?
Well, this is the third year, and well, last year one of the good campaigns, what one of the projects that the children did or the youth did was against smoking among young people, and they made together with professionals a campaign all over Latvia stating that how many smokers have you brought up brought up. So to talk to the adults that they are the ones responsible for that, so they are the ones that should take into account that if you give a cigarette to an underage person, that you have to deal with the consequences. And this year, well, the projects are in their first month, so it's still very young, but the aims are high, and I really believe that they will reach them. So we have a presentation tomorrow for them to show what they're going to do. But yeah,
that's really neat.
You cannot make a huge impact in 3 months, but you can like shuffle it all around and make people really think about it. There was one seminar for them with one small city about alcohol. And after a week, the teachers called us and said, "What have you done? We have been talking about this for a week. Come on." So it was a good thing to start talking about that instance.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I had talked to one of my high school teachers about, I don't know, maybe it's somewhat similar, but I just told them, these are some of the things that I'm involved in now. Like, is there any way that what I'm doing with this project or other projects that I'm doing that I could, do something valuable for you? And he said, a lot of my students, so we live in kind of a small town outside of a fairly big city. So most of the kids here are like, oh, we live in this just crappy small town, nothing to do, it's boring, we want to get into the city. So I told them, we live in a day and age where you can you can make a difference anywhere you are. You have a Skype connection.
You can be the one who gives the opportunities to the people, right?
What's that?
You can be the person, or the kids, or whoever can be the ones that bring the things to do in the city.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it's like you don't need to be in Portland to talk to somebody in Latvia. We have so much capabilities just with an internet connection and a laptop. So we were talking, maybe we'll set up some kind of like after school program for that. Like, we're just going to hang out once a week and just, create some kind of, internet campaign or some kind of project like this. And I think maybe the same thing that you guys are trying to do is like maybe, like you said, maybe you can't totally change somebody's life in 3 months, but you can just give them that knowledge that, even though I am just one person, I can do something that I'm passionate about, and I can find other people, to come alongside me, and we can do something together.
Yeah, and actually, when you are passionate about something, people are ready to help. They're ready to bring you, like connect you to people that have similar interests or things that they might help you. And if you're passionate about it, it usually turns out pretty well. You can kind of find a way how to deal with all the problems and get beautiful results.
Yeah. I always tell my brother that I call it making a key for yourself. And like my key is I want to talk to one person from every country in the world. And I have my YouTube, project, Garin Talks to the World. And I'm sure you probably have a lot of keys, but Go Beyond is one of them. I want to empower the younger generation to, feel empowered to make a difference. So if you kind of have like this amorphous, well, I think that I'm kind of into social anthropology and I want to do something with youth. There's not a lot there, but if you say this is my key, I'm gonna have one person from every country in the world, one of two things happens. Either people kind of get out of your way and they go, oh, this person's going somewhere, just get out of the way, let them. Like I think people say that the world gets out of the way if people look like they know where they're going, or people come alongside you and go, that's really cool, I want to be a part of it, And it's just semantics. You just kind of need to put it in a package in a nice phrase where you can convey it to people, and it opens doors. Like I wouldn't have just Facebooked you and said, hey, you want to chat? But when you have a key, it unlocks doors and things happen.
Yeah, true.
That's really cool. Is the business that you're starting, is that kind of in the same direction, or is it a new thing?
Oh, that's a completely different direction. But it's more with cycling and yeah, with bikes.
Okay.
But it's really in the start. But yeah, biking is really a thing in Latvia now as well, and it's growing. And when I was in Portland, actually, I saw you're also a lot of cyclists, right? And
yeah.
in San Francisco and so on.
Yeah, we're crazy about bicycling over here.
So I have a market.
Yeah. So what is it? What's your idea for your business?
We're trying to develop bike accessories, but the key is that they will be made by seniors, by Latvian retired people.
Mm-hmm.
They have all the skills necessary. They have time. They have everything that we need, and they're really ready to do that. And they're already making a lot of things their hobby, but they are not really reaching the customer. So I kind of want to use what they have to bring value for them and for others.
That's really neat. So I don't know if you saw, but in Portland and then in a lot of the West Coast where you were, we have the hipster movement. People. Yeah. And I don't know. Maybe this is my social anthropology, but I feel like a part of that is like we have this desire to like reconnect with our roots, like either where we come from or an older generation. Like maybe it's because a lot of us grew up with divorced parents, or our dads weren't around, or maybe it's that things are changing so fast. I don't know why, but I think that there's like this desire to, I want to look like my grandpa looked, or feel like I have kind of this bridge between where I come from and where. I don't know if that's true or not, but I think that that's maybe part of it. But
it could be. We also have a lot of hipsters around here, and it is that we are also reconnecting with the nature. All the design is basically either somewhere with all the science that were like traditional and then mythology and so on, and also just to bring the best out of what is already here and what has been here for thousands of years.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I think that that's a big part of it. I'm a Basque. My family's all from the Basque country in France, and I just think I'm really appreciative that I know, we're 100%. So I know the house, like the actual house that my family came from, like I don't know how many hundreds of years ago, and it's just really cool to go there and feel like this really strong connection of like my blood is from here, and I'm just the most recent tip of something that stretches back so long, and it just makes, I think that's a really cool just sense of belonging, and I think that's just an example of people trying to find that, just like you said, let's just bring out the best parts of what it means to be Latvian or even just humans. So anyways, the point of all that rambling is, I wonder if that would be kind of like just validation for your idea, that, hey, here's a way to honor the people who have come before us. Here's something new, but it's an extension of, the people that have come before us, and I don't know.
A similar idea that I recently heard from one businessman who started his company just a few years ago. He came from also a small city in Latvia, Valmiera, and he was before working in Riga, the capital city, and he was really successful. And then he decided to leave it all behind and go back home to his home city. And he now has his a huge home company of his own in his hometown. And he said that this is the place he would love to make his business. There is no other place in the world where he could imagine himself putting in the roots and starting something. So it's about the roots, like a tree. You have to come back to your roots.
Mm-hmm. That's really neat. So maybe that is a good segue to talk about Latvia a little bit. You know, maybe for people that don't know much about Latvia, what I don't know, for you, maybe talking about that, you know, the history and the things that you're proud of and the things that people want to highlight from where they come from. What are some of those things for you? Like I don't know, what does it mean to be Latvian to you?
Oh, there's so much. So what does it mean for me, or what am I proud of? What's the question?
Both. Let's do the first one and the next.
Well, what I'm proud of is definitely the roots in very many ways. In very like literally roots or organic food. We are one of the green countries, so we have organic food like everywhere, and that also brings us to food where we have the very delicious like traditional meals, but now we have this new movement of new chefs that make all the ingredients in a completely new way, and they're really tasty, and then we learn how to cook creatively. So that would be the roots, like literally. In other ways, well, as you know, we had the Soviet Union for some decades. And after that, now we're bringing back all the things that were Latvian and traditional. We mix it up with all the history that we have. But one of the things, for example, we have manors and castles that used to be, during the Soviet times, used as schools or apartment houses or something like that. And now we bring back the glory of them. The same happens to our design, so there is two things like the handicrafts and the things that we can make on our own. It's coming back, and as well the new design that we can create is also based on the roots. So this would be one of the things that is really important.
I'm sure there's tons to choose from.
Yeah, there's really a lot, and I just started. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if this is. I hope it's not too offensive, but I think that when most Americans, at least, hear like, oh, it's a former, part of the Soviet Union, we think, oh, it must be like gray and dreary and drab. And a few years ago, my sister and I, we were living in Bordeaux, and we went to Turkey over our Christmas break. And we had a layover through Latvia, because I got some cheap tickets on Ryanair or something like that. So we're like, oh, we got to spend the night in Latvia. What are we going to do? I didn't know anything about it, So we spent a night there on the way to Turkey and then a night on the way back. And it was only one night, but Riga was so cool. I mean, first, like you said, with the food, we were like, we should just come back here for a week and just eat the whole time, because we saw so many good restaurants, and we were there around Christmas time. So there was a Christmas market, and we ate all the food there. What's that?
All the lights and everything was colorful, yeah.
It was like the most Christmassy place I've ever been. I was like, Santa must be from Riga, because this place just feels like Christmas. It was so cool.
The first decorated Christmas tree was in Riga. So we have the first Christmas tree that was decorated outside, not in the house, if I'm not mistaken, yeah. So there is Christmas beginnings to look for. Yeah.
Yeah, so we both just loved it. That was such a neat place.
Yeah, and about the grayness that you said, well, basically there is some parts that are like all the factories, the old factories or old, like those storage houses. Mm-hmm. But now, after some time, actually it was during the crisis, during 2008 and a bit before and after, all our artists they kind of found a way how to use these spaces. So we have some 5 or 6 creative these quarters or districts, and the artists have taken over these places. So even the gray places are turned into art pieces and workshops, workshops for artists. So we find a way how to make the best out of what we have.
Cool. That sounds so neat. I would love to check that out. It just makes me think. I had an internship in Beijing a few years ago, and there was this area. I can't remember what it was called. It was it was a number like 552 or something. But it was the same idea that it was just like this massive complex of these old brick factories, and it was all just sooty and run down. And you could tell at one point, it was somebody had told me that it was like a big manufacturing hub for the Communist Party or something. I don't know what they made there, but at one time it probably was like kind of just cold and depressing. But all of these old brick factories had been turned into, like you said, art galleries, and there was all these like very fancy, sculptures outside, and they found a way to just, turn it all into something very new and very interesting. And it was one of the coolest places that I had been there. And I don't know, I feel like that's probably happening in a lot of places. That I don't know if I focus on negative stuff too much. I don't know if I'm trying to create a demand for my own product, but I feel like, we don't do a really good job of, learning about people beyond our borders, and like for me, I spend a lot of time just researching other countries and trying to figure out who would be fun to talk to, and 95% of the news that I find, it's all negative stuff, and we have these stereotypes about other people, oh, this place must be like this, must be like that, but humans are the same everywhere. Humans are creative, humans are positive, and anywhere you go, there's, people making the best with what they got, and there's beautiful things coming out of ugly things. And
yeah, exactly. About the negative news, I was also thinking about that recently, and actually it's getting better. I think people are more and more focusing also in the news on the good things, on the success stories, on what has been created.
mm-hmm.
So I think we're kind of learning from our mistakes and trying to get the best out of all the information. But true, there's a lot of problems and a lot of things we have to talk. We cannot be like all fuzzy and pink and yeah.
Well, I think the difference is that it's kind of like in a political context. Like, I don't know. I'm super political, so I don't know. This might sound crazy to you, but I feel like our governments have the incentive to create conflict between us. Like my country right now. My country wants us to think that the whole world is full of terrorists and that everybody else wants to come, blow up our countries and stuff. And the world is so dangerous, in fact, that we need to read all of your emails and listen to your phone calls, and we need to, kind of suspend a lot of our civil rights in our country. And I don't know, just this last year has been really crazy, a lot of the things that we found out about our own government, And, my whole thing with this project is like when you talk to people and you travel and you learn about other cultures, that is so far from the truth. There's no country in the world where everybody hates Americans or everybody wants chaos. There's this many people in the world that are like that. The vast majority are overwhelmingly good people everywhere you go, And I think like my project, it's just like one tiny example of that can be what our governments want, but the small group at the top. But when the actual people connect with each other, it's totally different story. And I think the news is the same way too. The news is also kind of a centralized mouthpiece, and they have their own reasons for only focusing on the negative stuff. But
and they're simply people, so they are just reflecting what they see and read and understand. So it's just another group of people.
Yeah, but when the individual just citizens themselves, like the other day, I was on Reddit and I found a subreddit that was all about uplifting news, and it was really cool. The whole thing was full of these really positive stories. Like one of the ones was a group of kids found out that one of the NBA players for their city lived in their neighborhood. So they went and they knocked on his door and they said, "Hey, do you want to come play basketball with us?" And he came out and he played basketball for an hour. Here's a guy who makes millions of dollars and he played with the kids in his neighborhood. Just little things like that.
Actually, yesterday I was on a really beautiful concert it was, a really cool Viegli, which means like easy. And when we went in, we were offered tea and cookies, like not gingerbread.
Mm-hmm.
And there were two guys in bear costumes giving the gingerbread. And afterwards, I found out that one of the bears was one of our best hockey players. He's retired now. But anyways, the feeling that the best hockey player is in a bear costume is giving you gingerbread sounds rather crazy, but it was really, really cool.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's just
yeah. The cool thing now is that, like the news is being decentralized. Like in America, we used to have 3 TV stations, and that's where you got your news. Now there's a million TV stations, and no one even watches them. Now all the news is online, and we can Twitter and Facebook and Reddit and stuff. So it's just so cool. I think that the individual people are being empowered so much more, and it's we have such a bigger capacity to speak our own voices and tell the stories that we want to have told.
True.
Yeah.
I would just like to add that it's good to have all the globalization, all the opportunities online, but right now I kind of feel more and more that there is a need to look around and to look in your country, in places that do not have so many. They have the opportunities. They have to be shown that they have them.
Mm-hmm.
So everything online and everything globalized is also not positive in total. So it should be a balance between the.
I totally agree, and I think that that'll be kind of the next logical extension of everything being online. People are going to go, wow, I used to think that any of the things we've talked about, I had to be in the big city, or I had to get my news from ABC or whatever it is. Now I realize that I have this capacity to do those things for myself. I'm empowered to talk to Marta or do whatever it is. The next step is maybe I can use that same empowerment to do the same thing in my town. And I think that we're definitely seeing that. Kind of like I talk a lot about decentralization, and I think the next logical step is kind of like getting back to our tribal roots as humans. As humans, we used to live in groups of 100 people, and I think we're going to probably end up doing that again, getting back to like these tight communities of people that you live and do your life with.
Let's see, I don't know.
That's my philosophizing, at least.
Well, right now there is an opportunity to get everyone, or at least to talk to basically a network with whoever you want. So it is a lot of opportunities, and it might be too much for one person to get all of it. So it is,
So in Latvia being a lot smaller of a place, do you think that exists more? More of the sense of community, smaller places where people are more tied to each other and interact more?
Well, it's definitely that everyone knows. Well, at least you can always find someone with a person you have never met. In at least a very, very, in some thread. But otherwise, I think no, we're not like one big community. There are 2 million people. You wouldn't make a tight community out of that. But we have smaller communities in the cities, but I wouldn't say that there is one altogether. Mm-hmm. We have still our political things and nationalistic things and so on. So there is really not that easy anyway.
Mm-hmm. I was just thinking kind of like, there's this. I'm sure this maybe just is a human thing. It's everywhere, but there's like 320 million Americans. And in my city there's 2 million people, and you would think that we have all these ways to connect with each other. But people feel more isolated than they ever have before. you know. So I think that's maybe what you're talking about too, is getting back to the offline, real world connections. Say, hey, why are we all eating by ourselves in our houses? Why don't we all get together and eat together? Things like that, And I just didn't know if in a smaller place like Latvia, maybe there's more, I don't know, more of that, but.
Well, it's still the same. We face the same problems, and we are also less connecting outside online. But well, yeah, Riga is the main city of Latvia, so basically everyone is here if they're not somewhere else in the world. So we're actually meeting the friends a lot, and it's usually very like, hey, what you doing tonight, and so yeah, I think. We're still having the same problems, but it's not bad.
So, tell me a little bit about what you do for the tourism department, because that's kind of your day job, is being a representative of your city, huh?
Yes, I'm representing Latvia. Well, basically, I work with media right now, and we mainly focus on our neighbor countries, so it would be Estonia, Lithuania, also Russia, then Scandinavian countries, Finland, Sweden, and Norway, and Germany. And then I also work with Japan, and well, very little bit with US, but like not a lot. So yeah, so basically my work is to promote Latvia, to tell what's good about it, what's new and fun and great. Yeah, it has been really a great time to just see how much there is in Latvia, how many beautiful and nice people there are out there in the countryside and in all the guest houses and in the regions. So it's really cool.
Neat. Has doing this job made you, I don't know, kind of fall in love with your own country even more?
Yes, actually love traveling around Latvia a lot, especially with bike. And I kind of find more and more what there is to see and what there is to promote. So I always knew that it will be hard for me to promote things that I don't really care about or I don't believe in. So it would be like I used to do PR for things from IT to sausages to education. So it was really hard. But now when I have a product that I truly believe in, which is my country, then it's really, it gets easy.
Yeah, for sure. That should be an easy thing to promote.
Yeah.
Neat. I don't know, I don't know what my question is, but like, so when you're talking to somebody from a different place, somebody from Japan or Estonia or whatever, are there certain things that you always kind of come back to that you find yourself trying to show off, or?
It really depends. It's just what we try to promote and what they're interested in. For example, Japan is really interested in handicrafts and everything that you can do on your own with your own hands. And when they come here, they can actually try all the things. They're also really into the food, as we already found out that it's good. For Estonians and Lithuanians, it's mostly events that we are focusing on because it's really easy for them to get here. It's from one capital city to the other, it's 4-hour drive by car. So you can, and if there are events around the other cities, you can actually get there really fast. So it's usually international events, for example, music festivals like Positivus or next year we will be the European Capital of Culture, so we're really focusing on that, and everyone will be able to find something for them in these events. So this year we're definitely getting back to Riga, the capital of culture in Europe. That's one of the main focuses for us.
Neat. Is there a some kind of cohesion between the Baltic states, between Estonia and Lithuania, and you guys? Like, do you guys speak the same language, or is it similar?
No, not really. We each have our own language.
Oh.
Latvian and Lithuanian is a bit similar. We can kind of understand each other, but we'll not really make a conversation. With Estonia, we have completely no language relationship at all. Um, well, we are seen as a region, and it's usually the Baltics if there's some kind of company coming in. But still, we are really different, and it is like working with another nation when you work with Estonians or Lithuanians, and I believe it's the same for them. But yes, we look up to each other and like look what are the other ones doing and so on. So we are like three brothers and sisters.
Cool. And they're all. So you said there's 2 million people in Latvia. Is
Yep.
it similar with Estonia and Lithuania too?
Lithuania is bigger and Estonia is smaller. I know that Estonia is 1.3, but I'm not sure about Lithuania. It could be something above 3 million, but I don't know the numbers
Okay.
now.
Um, do
All small.
yeah. Is it common that people in all countries speak English or Russian, or can you talk to each other?
Yeah, definitely. The older generation is better in Russian, of course. If they had to live in the USSR. The younger generation, basically everyone is speaking English, and not only there are many people learning a lot of other languages, and as a small nation, we have to speak other languages, so we really are good at it. So usually people speak at least two languages.
Cool.
Um, yeah, mine is mainly English, and then the others are very low level. So I would say that I hope I'm an outlier and that others speak more. But it is that usually there is at least German, Spanish, French, Swedish. Yeah.
I think that's so interesting that, I don't know, Latvia is not one of the countries that people think of, when it comes to traveling and, in America we're kind of famous for not being very good in geography, so I don't know if most people, are familiar with the Baltic region and stuff, but the more you learn about it, here's this place where people are so dynamic and speak so many languages.
Yeah, well, we're actually, another thing that we're good at is internet, actually. We are one of the fastest internet country. After, in Europe, it's the fastest, and then there are three Asian countries in front of us. And yeah, we're at some tops now, so it's getting pretty well.
And then this is the year for culture in Riga, so maybe 2014 will be the year it gets put on the map.
Yeah, it is already. We're starting to be put on the map. But yeah, in the US, it was really interesting that people didn't know a lot, but they were really interested, which is very nice. They were ready to listen when I talked about Latvia. And some of them were really interested in coming because of the nature, food, and the possibilities to actually get to three countries at once when they come here. So it was very fun.
Um, Yeah, so tell me about that a little bit. So you look like you're here for. I looked at some of your pictures. I know, like I said, that's kind of creepy. I was stalking your pictures online, but looks like you and your boyfriend came here for like a couple of months or something like that, huh?
Oh, it was 3 weeks only.
Oh, okay.
It was kind of a run through the country, so we would like to come. We will most likely go back because we have some relatives living in the US.
Oh,
But what we wanted to spend more time on was the nature parks and national parks. We really loved those. It was very, yeah, majestic. Is that a word? Okay, then that.
what was
Yeah.
your itinerary? You kind of did like the whole West Coast, huh?
We started in New York. Then we went to Denver and Boulder, where my grandfather's brother lives.
Mm-hmm.
It was very emotional and really great. I hadn't seen him for a really long time, so it was. I didn't care about Boulder. It was a very nice and neat city, but I really cared about my grandfather's brother more.
Yeah.
And then we went to Las Vegas. I kind of didn't get that city. Really, no.
What do you mean? You don't like drinking all night long and strip clubs and
Uh,
gambling?
and losing all my money. No, it was really a horrible day. I really hated myself, and yeah.
I'm glad you say that
We went.
because my dad lives there, and
Really?
Yeah, everybody's like, that's so cool. You get to go hang out in Vegas all the time. And I'm like, no, I hate that place so much. It's the worst. I can't
Yeah.
stand that city.
No, but I understand it's fun when you can go there and for once, but this was not the time. Yeah, and then we went around the national parks. We rented a car and went to Yosemite. That was the last one. And then there was Bryce, Zion, the Grand Canyon, but from the north side.
Hmm.
So yeah, it was really, and each of them was really different. So I really liked that time. Then we went to San Francisco, flew to Portland, and from Portland we met my boyfriend's sister and her family, and then we went from Portland to Seattle and had a really wonderful week with them in Seattle, and then we came back. So it was a run through the country.
That's a pretty busy 3 weeks.
It was.
Wow. I've done a fair amount of those places. Like my dad and I ride motorcycles, so we've done that whole same thing. Bryce, Zion, the north side of the Grand Canyon, and Yosemite, all that. And then a couple months ago, my girlfriend and I, we went from here down to L.A. on our motorcycles and then back, and hit San Francisco and I mean obviously everywhere, but it's crazy how like the more you see, the more you realize there is to see. So like on that trip we took a little over a week to go down and then back up. And I'm like, man, I could do this for a month. There's so many places that I want to go and experience and check out. So yeah, it's cool you got to come here, but I'm sure at the same time it's like, wow, there's so much more to see too.
Yeah, it was more like checking in to many places. But actually, yeah, the same as in Latvia. I really like going by bike because then you go slowly. You
Hmm.
get to see things. You get to like feel the things. If you go by car, it's basically you just run through the main points and see what there has to be seen, but you don't really get the feel of the people, of their way of lifestyle, the pace of the place.
Hmm.
So yeah, I believe it's better to spend a lot of time in one place. So, but this was a tryout to see what are the places we want to come back to, and then we can spend more time in those. And yeah, it's definitely the nature that I'm mostly interested in the U.S.
What are those places that you went to where is on the top of the list? Next time we got to go back to Bryce or.
Definitely Yosemite. We had only one day there, but we really wanted to go on like bigger hikes. And actually, we were not really ready for hiking. We didn't have any hiking shoes with us,
Mm.
so I had these tennis shoes, or yeah, like, not really meant for going on mountains. But now I have them, so I will be able to go there next time. Yeah, Yosemite was the top one, and then we really want to see the redwood. What was the name?
Yeah, the redwoods.
Yeah, there was another. It's a Gavoy, no, something.
Well, I think that the same thing. I rode my motorcycle down there a couple summers ago, and when that was the first time I had been there. I think if I remember correctly, there's like a couple different parks, but
Yeah.
we always just call it the redwoods or Redwood National Forest, I guess. I don't know. I could be wrong, but.
We're very interested in the trees themselves, and we got to see some in San Francisco when you go out until the Mill Park, I think. So we got the small, big trees, so we really want to see the very, very big ones.
Hmm.
Because, yeah, we've watched the movies about that and how there is a real ecosystem on it that is nowhere else, so it was very interesting and we would like to go back to that.
Yeah. In Portland, we have tons of nature and forests and trees. So when I went to the redwoods, first of all, like everything other than the trees, like the towns were like really dumpy and there wasn't anything to like see or do. But same thing, I just went and camped with a friend and we just hiked out into the woods. And on the one hand, it's like, okay, there's trees. I've seen trees before, but these are like really big freaking trees. It was crazy, and the forest is so dense. It's like there was this one place I saw where one tree had fallen over and got stuck on another tree like this. So I mean these trees are like as big around as a bus. So I climbed up this tree and I was up on top of this and maybe like 20 feet up or something, and it felt like I could fall off of this, and they would not be. Everything's just so mossy, and it's crazy just how untouched it all is in there. It's so neat.
Yeah, so that's an aim for next time.
Cool.
Well, there are so many other places to see, so let's see when that happens.
Yeah. And then a lot of places to see in the United States, and then so many outside. Have you traveled in a lot of other countries too?
I have traveled a lot around Europe, and then another very beautiful trip that I had was to Morocco. I really loved that one. It was very beautiful and yeah, and very different from what I had seen before. So it was yeah, a lot of things to remember and to be. They also have very good food, so it was very interesting.
That's so neat.
Have
In
you been?
America, we say a lot, that this is God's country, and that God's blessed America, and how beautiful our country is, and I totally agree. I mean, there's so many just stunning places in America, but you can't say that it's any more or less than anywhere else. Like people always go, you have to, like, when you go to the Rocky Mountains, you have to say that this America is a special place, and I'm like, yeah, it's special, but everyone, I mean, people in Thailand aren't going, oh my gosh, our country's so ugly, like they have a pretty stunningly beautiful country too, and I'm Latvia also, and everywhere.
There's everywhere is beautiful. You just have to put the effort to see it and enjoy it. So the same with weather. There is no bad weather. You just have to deal with the one you have and enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I agree with that. So, um, I ask everybody these same few questions, and I already asked you the one about. I ask everybody what's something that they love about their country, or that brings, that makes them proud of their country. So we already talked about that. But how about what's something that brings joy to your life, or something just that makes you happy?
One thing. There's
Or
so many.
yeah.
Um, well, definitely with people, my friends and family. Every time I see them, I get like a lot of new information, ideas, and inspiration, and that is definitely one. The people that I meet and can talk to, because there are really a lot of interesting people and ideas, and they have traveled a lot and they have seen a lot and done a lot, and it's very fun and interesting to be among them. Yeah, and I like Latvians. They're not very open at first, but when you get to them, they're very nice people to be around. So I really enjoy being here and being Latvian. Um, yeah, it's hard to say because basically I cannot say anything that does not make my life happy. So it's hard to bring out one.
Well, that's a good spot to be in then.
Yeah, it is.
Cool. What's a dream, or maybe a current aspiration that you have in your life?
To do only the things that make me happy, which is it gets hard from time to time to stay focused and stay on what you really like and not get into things that others think you like or others measure things by. But yeah, staying on track of what I like and being passionate about what I do whenever I do something.
That's fantastic. Do you know who Gary Vaynerchuk is? He's kind of like a marketing guru and a speaker and a writer. He just had a book that came out. Um, but he's like a really. Here, I'll type his name in for you. You might like to check him out.
Okay.
He's just like such a, like, you watch his speeches or you read his book, and it just gets you so fired up. He has lots of very good information for like business or marketing and stuff, but I watched this one speech, and he goes, this is a couple years ago now, I think, like in 2010 or something, and he goes, it's 2010. It is too late. Like, it's not. We've come too far for you to do shit that you hate. Don't do it. no more. It's 2010. Don't do anything that you hate doing. And he said, if you do things that you hate, you'll get good at it, and then people will ask you to do it. And then you'll just keep doing things you hate. So he said, don't ever do anything that you hate doing. And like you said, when you figure out what your passion is, I think that's actually a pretty profound philosophy.
Yeah. Well, we're trying here in Latvia to do it more and more, and I'm really happy that the increasing number of people try to find their passion. And actually, the crisis was a very good point for that, when people were reaching for money and running for that, and then they life made them understand that that's not what they are good at or what they can do, and they started to do a lot of other things, starting from some handwork and found their own businesses, or started to look on what they have and what they love and what they would love to do. So actually, looking back now to the crisis, it was actually a pretty good thing, because it made people rush for things that they really care about, rush for happiness, not for money.
Wow. I think that's a lesson that we haven't finished learning in the States yet, and I don't. Maybe we're not quite as far along as you guys in.
I think no one has really ended learning that one. I think it's never an end for that.
Well, I feel like for a long time there was a certain pattern, like you go to college, maybe you go to grad school, then you get a good job, and then you get married, and then you do that job for 40 years, and then you have security, and that doesn't exist anymore. Like that's not how things work, but a lot of our behaviors are still based on that. Like when you graduate from high school, you just have to go to college, to university. And we haven't kind of changed that line of thinking yet. But kind of like what you're saying, I think that we're starting to realize, like right now in America, that for several years after 2008, everybody was like, well, we just need to wait for the jobs to come back, wait for the economy to come back. And people are realizing now that they're not going to come back, because it wasn't like things went like this, now they're going to go back. It just things changed. And we no longer live in a system where you go get a job that you hate just for a paycheck for 20, 30, 40 years. Like you said, now we live in a day where you figure out what you're passionate about and you create something for yourself, So, yeah, I think that we're kind of right on that edge of learning that lesson. And, I think we'll probably be more like you guys here pretty soon.
That's a very good path to be on, so good luck with that.
Yeah, for sure. So, I don't know if this overlaps with that, but the last question that I always ask everybody is, if you could share one message with the whole world, what message would you want to impart to people?
Can I be as cliche as be happy?
That's a pretty good one, actually.
Yeah, I think that's the one that is most important.
Mm-hmm. I talked with a guy the other day, and his was somewhat similar. He said, I've realized that in my life the number one most important thing is my own personal happiness. And he said, that sounds like a selfish thing to say, but he said that when you get to a point where you do know what you're passionate about, your happiness relies on, following your passion and using that to improve other people's lives, So he said, it sounds selfish when I say it like that, but my happiness is dependent on creating happiness for other people, And I thought that was kind of just an interesting idea.
Yeah, I actually agree kind of with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because if you can if you're happy, then you can bring happiness to other people. You can just be nice to others, which kind of comes back, and just going around grumpy will make others feel grumpy, and that is a chain reaction. So it's better to be happy, to find things that make you happy, to not let small unmeaningful things ruin your day, and just enjoy life.
Yeah, for sure. That's one thing that I find so fun about doing this project is sometimes just like you said, I kind of let things affect me more than they should. And I hope it's not a cynical thing to say, but unfortunately there's kind of a lot of things, like I said before, in a political context, There's a lot of things that are kind of worrying in my country right now or in the world. But, when you just, even like something as small as a conversation, you meet a new person, you make a new friend, you have a fun conversation, and like that's so much more meaningful, and then I don't know, that just has such a capacity to lift you up.
Yeah, exactly. You cannot really rely on politics or big things. You have to start small, and each of us is able to do small things. That's what we can do. And yeah, if you want to make a change, yeah. Again, a cliche, start with yourself.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. Well, before we wrap up, is there anything that I didn't ask about in Latvia that I should have, or I don't know, anything that we didn't cover?
I think all the rest is available on Google to find out.
Yeah.
Each person will be able to find what they're passionate about.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. And I always tell people, my goal is not to, give a comprehensive, essay on a different country or whatever. I just want people to be able to attach a face to the name, that from now on when they think of Latvians, they go, oh yeah, I've watched, I know a face and a voice and a story.
Yeah, great.
All
That's
right.
a really interesting project that you're doing. It's very nice.
Cool. Well, I'll send you a link to it when it's up.
Great.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for talking to me today. That was a lot of fun.
Thank you. So have a great day. It's just starting for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna go. I need to get some work done, and then my girlfriend and I are gonna go to Christmas play tonight.
Oh,
So,
cool.
hmm
Okay, so enjoy that. Get this Christmas feeling then.
and we'll daydream like we're back in Latvia, in Riga, the Christmas capital.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Talk to you later.
Yeah, bye.
Bye bye. All right. I hope that you enjoyed that conversation. It was a lot of fun for me getting to talk to Marta, so I hope you enjoyed it on your end of the screen. Tune in next time for more interviews with interesting people from around the world. Thanks.